The Parenting Breakthrough Guide, From Chaos to Calm, A Path Forward for Parents of Deeply Feeling Kids, by Rich DeChico, read by the author, Rich DeChico. Dear parents and the people who love them, I'm rooting for you. Keep going. Your kid is lucky to have a parent that would read this book. You're putting more love into the world, and I appreciate you for it. Cheers, Rich DeChico, parent to 2 amazing kids. Important note, so you understand what I'm talking about. In this book, and frankly everywhere, I occasionally use the phrase deeply feeling kid, or some variation. This is meant to be an inclusive term as possible for kids who get out of control sometimes. This can come in the form of being emotionally and physically dysregulated, or of being sensitive, shut down, or downright hard to deal with. My son has an official diagnosis of both autism and ADHD. He is for sure a deeply feeling kid, but he's one of a kind, just like your kid. I know that what's in this book works for almost every kid regardless of labels that we use to explain how they operate. That is all. Let's get to work. Introduction. Exhausted and hopeless. Are you the parent of a deeply feeling kid who's exhausted from trying endless parenting techniques that just don't work? All you want is a simpler, more effective way to help your child thrive without constant frustration. In this guide, I'm going to show you how to create lasting peace at home in the next 12 weeks without relying on traditional methods, and in the next 30 days to see massive differences in your kid. So you can finally own your own toolkit of calm, confident parenting strategies that actually work and ultimately make you feel empowered as a parent. So, if you're a parent of a neurodivergent child or just a kid who can't seem to get through a day without having a meltdown, struggling with daily tantrums, emotional overwhelm, and anxiety about your child's future, and you've tried every old parenting method but are still feeling drained and defeated, then pay attention to what I'm about to share with you because this could very well be the guide that changes everything for you. First, let me tell you a bit about my family. This guide is the thing I wish I had when my family first found out about our 8-year-old son and how he was on the spectrum, along with a whole lot of ADHD. Right at the start of 2020, maybe you recall what happened in early 2020, as we started to seek help from his school and professionals, everything shut down. We had no choice but to figure it out on our own. We read every book we could get our hands on, read countless articles, and binged YouTube videos like we were watching Breaking Bad. We were able, with a lot of trial and error, to take my son from nightmare kid to dream kid. Seriously. He is thriving in ways I hadn't thought were possible. He has a great circle of friends, cares for his family, does his chores, and hits a baseball like a little pro. But we tried a lot of stuff that didn't work. I want to save you that endless trial and error so that you can see results fast. You can get there like we did, but a lot faster if you're willing to keep an open mind. The concepts outlined here work, just like they did for me and just like they did for Sarah, one of my clients. My clients are 100% anonymous, so the names and faces have been changed. Sarah was right where you are. She was dealing with overwhelming behavioral issues, feeling burned out, and worried about her child's future. She tried every traditional discipline technique, and yet she still felt lost. But she applied what I'm about to share with you and ended up creating harmony in her home and seeing her child thrive in just 12 weeks. And she didn't have to use ineffective methods like discipline, incentives, or timeouts. And most of all, it was a peaceful process, full of love, and done in a way that strengthened her family bond. In this guide, I'm going to share with you exactly what she did, including the number one truth about fostering positive behavior without constant meltdowns or emotional battles, the real reason why most parents of deeply feeling children struggle with traditional techniques and why it'll never work, the exact process I've used to help parents get control, reduce stress, and finally see their children thrive. Based on my research and experiments with my own family, I've developed tools to help parents create peaceful, powerful, supportive homes for their children. I went from feeling overwhelmed and reactive to confidently managing my child's unique needs, and I've helped dozens of other parents do the same. But it wasn't easy. I struggled with meltdowns, power struggles, and feeling like nothing I did was enough. I tried everything, every piece of advice, discipline, strategy, and more, yet I still felt powerless. I knew that if I didn't find a way to help my child thrive in a way that actually worked for him, we'd be trapped in a cycle of frustration and overwhelm. Then, during a moment of clarity, I realized the missing piece, Traditional methods weren't designed for my child's unique needs. I needed a new approach, and that's when everything started changing for the better. A quick note before we begin. I'm holding nothing back here. If you want to use this guide to get the results that I and my clients have gotten, you 100% can do it. But before I get into detail about the process, I want to tell you something. I've gone it alone on a lot of problems. And if you're anything like me, this has had mixed results at best. I've also enlisted the guidance of awesome coaches who could help me get where I wanted to go. I have learned the hard way. Given those two options, I would have been better off using a knowledgeable and experienced coach pretty much every time. This book is the same map that I use with my personal coaching clients. If you're ready to solve the problem as fast as possible with the least amount of headaches, I'd be happy to chat with you and see if you're a fit for what my team does. You can email me at hello@gettheparentingbreakthrough.com. I know your family is unique, just like my family. That's why I value my one-on-one work with families so much. It's the most rewarding thing in the world to me, and I am excited to do it every day. It's like seeing a competent doctor versus trying to self-diagnose on the internet. A doctor can ask you questions to get to what's really happening and reach into his toolkit for what's going to make you better. The internet will have you chasing your tail trying to figure out what's going to work. So I'd like to invite you for a free chat with me to see if I can help you get closer to where you want to be. I have developed a program that goes much deeper on the concepts in this book and gives you a custom blueprint for your unique solution. Again, you can email me at hello@gettheparentingbreakthrough.com. Okay, let's get to the good stuff. Chapter 1, Assessing Your Foundation. The fact that you're reading this book tells me something about you. You're a parent who wants to stop the cycle of power struggles and feel confident again. You're willing to put in the effort and find a solution that works. And you know that what you've been doing isn't enough. You believe that a better way exists, and I'm here to tell you that it does. You could have chosen to keep doing things the old way, but you've chosen to seek something new. That tells me you're ready to become the empowered parent you aspire to be. Here's the number one truth about creating calm, connection, and success with your child's behavior that most parents overlook. Most parents believe that traditional discipline is enough. The stricter the rules or more rewards, and you'll solve the issue. But for deeply feeling children, the truth is that most of these methods fail because they don't meet the unique emotional needs of these kids. When you understand that positive behavior starts with a calm, supportive environment, you can make a huge transformation. And when you truly believe that connecting with your child on their terms is the key, you can unlock the path to peace and empowerment. You can try all the old techniques, but if you don't adapt to what truly works for your kid, you'll never see the change you're hoping for. Most parents end up frustrated because they try strict rules and traditional discipline approaches that backfire, leaving everyone more stressed. The truth is, understanding your child's unique emotional triggers and needs, and your own, is the real solution. Once I understood this, I finally saw the results we were all striving for as parents: a peaceful, happy home and a thriving child. And that understanding ultimately led me to creating the Parenting Breakthrough System. To make this transformation, you need a proven roadmap. The first thing you need to do when you get a map is know where you are. If you don't know where you are, then the map is useless. Let's get started. The Burj Khalifa, standing tall at 828 meters, is not only the tallest building in the world, but a remarkable feat of engineering, vision, and persistence. Rising above Dubai's skyline, it's more than just an architectural marvel. It's a powerful analogy for what it takes to raise a healthy, happy, and resilient child. Just as the Burj Khalifa's foundation supports its unparalleled height and withstands extreme conditions, it's built on sand for one thing, a parent's emotional foundation is critical in shaping a stable and nurturing environment for the family. The strength of a family's foundation is paramount. Your emotional well-being, sense of purpose, and resilience form the bedrock upon which effective parenting can be built. This emotional work is often invisible, much like the deep and hidden foundation of a skyscraper. Still, without it, the tallest structure or the strongest family dynamic can crumble under any stress or adverse condition. From where you stand, you might not have any idea what your foundation looks like. I sure didn't. Even if you think you do, I guarantee that going through this guide will give you more clarity than you ever thought was possible. Here's a step-by-step guide for you to assess your emotional landscape effectively, allowing you to identify and work through your emotions while setting intentional goals for the family. This self-reflection process helped me build a strong emotional foundation that, in turn, supports my kids' growth and well-being. You're going to get right into it below. You can do this alone or with your co-parent. I would recommend doing it separately and coming together to compare notes. Here are the steps. Step 1. Prepare for emotional inventory. Find a quiet space. Choose a calm, uninterrupted time and place where you can focus. Set aside at least 20 to 30 minutes to reflect deeply on your thoughts and emotions. Gather tools for reflection. Bring a notebook, journal, or digital device where you can document your reflections. If you're comfortable, consider using prompts or guided journaling apps to keep you focused. Breathe and center yourself. Before diving in, take a few deep breaths. Set the intention to approach this exercise with compassion and curiosity rather than judgment. Articulate your biggest fears. Start by listing your most pressing fears related to parenting your child. Be as honest and specific as possible. Some questions to guide you might be, what am I most afraid of with my child's future? What situations bring out my deepest fears or anxieties as a parent? Explore your frustrations. Recognize what aspects of parenting feel particularly frustrating or difficult. What specific behaviors or situations make me feel powerless, stressed, or frustrated? Are there recurring thoughts or patterns that make me feel resentful or overwhelmed? Then define your hopes and dreams. Now that you've identified your fears and frustrations, focus on the positive. What are your biggest hopes for your child and the family? What strengths do I want to nurture in my child? How do I envision my relationship with my child evolving over time? Then, notice recurring patterns. Reflect on any recurring emotional patterns you experience in parenting. Are there times when certain fears or frustrations come up regularly? Identify specific triggers. Make a list of specific situations, events, or behaviors that commonly trigger strong emotions in you. For example, when my child resists bedtime, I feel a sense of frustration and a lack of control. When I see my child struggle in social situations, I feel anxious about their future. Step 4, articulate goals and outcomes. Clarify short-term goals. Identify specific, achievable outcomes you'd like to see within the next few months. Be concrete about what success looks like. Example, I want to help my child express their emotions more openly. Example, I want to feel more patient and calm during moments of conflict. Now define long-term aspirations for your child. Think about the qualities and skills you hope your child will develop over time. Envision what you want your child to be capable of or how you'd like them to feel. Example, I hope my child can manage their emotions and communicate effectively with others. Visualize family dynamics. Consider how you want your family to feel and function together. This could include relationship goals, communication styles, or shared family values. Example, I want our family to have open, respectful communication where everyone feels safe expressing themselves. Step 5, reflect on your own role. Evaluate your reactions. Ask yourself how your emotional patterns or reactions might influence your child. Consider areas where your responses could either support or hinder their development. Example, how do I typically react to my child's struggles? Do I feel empowered or overwhelmed? Another example, am I modeling behaviors and values that I want my child to adopt? Then identify personal areas for growth. Recognize areas where you may need additional support, patience, or education to be the best possible foundation for your family. Example, I would like to work on managing my own stress better so that I don't react impulsively. Or, I want to build my emotional resilience to handle challenging parenting solutions more calmly. Step 6, set intentions for personal development. Create an action plan. Based on your reflections, set 2 or 3 action steps for your own emotional growth. These should be manageable and relevant to the areas you identified. Example, I will dedicate 10 minutes each day to mindfulness or relaxation techniques to reduce stress. Another example, I will seek resources or support to understand my child's unique needs better. Next, establish your support system. Identify individuals or resources like therapists, coaches, support groups, or parenting communities that can help you stay on track with your goals and provide guidance when needed. Step 7, commit to regular emotional check-ins. Schedule weekly check-ins. To stay aligned with your goals, plan a weekly or bi-weekly time to review your progress. Ask yourself, how did I handle my triggers this week? Am I staying connected to my goals for myself, my child, and my family? Adjust your goals as needed. Parenting is a dynamic, and so are the emotional challenges. Be flexible in adjusting your goals and actions as you gain more insight as your child's needs change. Final step, celebrate growth and acknowledge wins. Recognize small victories. Every step forward is progress. Acknowledge even the smallest positive changes in your reactions, your child's behavior, or your family's overall dynamics. Reflect on the process. As you continue this practice, take moments to recognize how your deeper emotional understanding benefits both you and your child. Remember that your efforts contribute significantly to creating a stable, resilient foundation for your family to thrive. This step-by-step emotional inventory helps parents be intentional in their actions, making it easier to create a family environment grounded in emotional health and resilience. You'll not only strengthen yourself, but also set the stage for nurturing a confident, secure, and well-rounded child. If you need any help navigating the process above, feel free to reach out to me. hello@gettheparentingbreakthrough.com. Chapter 2. Taking out the trash. Here's the thing. Most parents in our shoes feel like nothing's ever going to change, but that's not you. You're here reading this because you're ready to make a real change. Most parents would rather avoid the pain of trying something new, but you're not like most parents. You're an action taker. That's exactly what it takes to make a breakthrough. That's why I feel comfortable telling you, the first step in reclaiming your calm and feeling in control of your kid's future is feeling in control of yourself. Imagine for a moment you're climbing a mountain. It's steep, and a drop will likely mean a long fall. Now imagine you're climbing the mountain at night with very dark sunglasses on. Do you think you'll stand a chance of succeeding? The goal of phase 2 of this guide is to help you remove those sunglasses. Now, years ago, while I was trying every tool and tactic I could find with my son, nothing was working. Then a good friend suggested that maybe I was the problem. I was trying to teach him emotional regulation without having any handle on my reactions to his behavior. The following pages detail how I fixed that. My family is living proof that just doing this work alone is enough to see vast improvements in your kid. Let's dive in. Emotional roadblocks in parenting. When it comes to parenting, unresolved emotions can significantly affect our interactions with our children and impact our ability to nurture them fully. Understanding and acknowledging these feelings, anger, frustration, resentment, fear, anxiety, self-doubt, judgment, guilt, shame, depression, can be the first step toward managing them, breaking down barriers, and fostering a healthier environment for our children. 1. Anger. Definition. Anger is an intense emotional response often triggered by perceived wrongs or injustices. It can be a reaction to feeling helpless, disrespected, or out of control. Linked to parenting. Parenting often brings stressful situations where parents might feel like they're not being heard or that their efforts aren't appreciated. When a child behaves disruptively, it can trigger feelings of anger, especially if the parent is already under stress. Impact. Unmanaged anger can lead to reactive parenting, such as shouting or using harsh discipline. This approach may harm the parent-child bond and make it difficult for the child to trust or communicate openly with their parent. 2. Frustration. Definition. Frustration arises when progress toward a goal is blocked, and it often comes from unmet expectations or a lack of control. Linked to parenting. Many parents hold certain expectations about their child's behavior or milestones. When these expectations aren't met, whether due to a child's developmental challenges or behavior, it can lead to frustration. Impact. Persistent frustration can turn into resentment or a sense of failure in parenting, potentially causing parents to withdraw or lose patience, which impacts the child's sense of security and support. 3. Resentment. Definition. Resentment is a complex feeling that involves bitterness and dissatisfaction, often arising from feeling burdened, unfairly treated, or underappreciated. Linked to parenting. Parents may feel resentment when they perceive that their needs and sacrifices are unrecognized, or when they feel isolated in their parenting. The demands of raising a child, especially if the child has unique needs, can increase these feelings. Impact. Resentment can lead to emotional detachment, where parents feel less invested or become less responsive to their child's emotional needs, which may create emotional distance in the relationship. 4. Fear. Definition. Fear is an intense, often paralyzing emotion that arises from the perception of danger, threat, or failure. Linked to parenting. Parents frequently worry about their child's safety, future, and well-being. Fear can manifest as a concern for the child's development, social acceptance, or overall life outcomes. Impact. When driven by fear, parents may become overly protective or controlling, which can stifle a child's independence and prevent them from learning resilience. This can also lead to high parental anxiety, which children can sense and mirror. 5. Anxiety. Definition. Anxiety is a chronic state of worry or unease about potential future outcomes, often involving feelings of restlessness or dread. Linked to parenting. Anxiety can make parents overly vigilant, second-guessing their choices and constantly worrying about whether they're doing enough for their child. It's particularly common among parents of neurodivergent or high-needs children. Impact. Anxiety-driven parenting can lead to over-involvement or micromanagement, which may hinder a child's ability to develop self-reliance or confidence. Additionally, parental anxiety can make children feel as though they are the source of their parents' stress. 6. Self-doubt. Definition. Self-doubt involves a lack of confidence in one's abilities, often rooted in comparisons with others or a fear of failure. Linked to parenting. Many parents question their effectiveness, especially when facing challenges with their child's behavior or development. Self-doubt can stem from comparing themselves to other parents or fearing that they're not doing enough. Impact. When parents doubt themselves, they may become inconsistent in their approach, frequently changing strategies or becoming indecisive. This inconsistency can create an unstable environment for the child and reduce the parent's ability to enforce healthy boundaries. 7. Judgment. Definition. Judgment is the act of forming negative opinions or conclusions about oneself or others. Linked to parenting. Parents can be highly self-critical or judge themselves harshly when things don't go as planned. They may also feel judged by others, adding to their stress and self-imposed expectations. Impact. Judgment fosters a cycle of negativity, which can make parents feel less capable or inadequate. This negative self-perception can be communicated, even indirectly, to children, leading them to feel that they're failing or disappointing their parent. 8. Guilt. Definition. Guilt is a feeling of responsibility for wrongdoing, whether real or perceived, often accompanied by regret. Linked to parenting. Parents often feel guilty about not being able to provide everything for their child, or when they need to take time for themselves. They may also feel guilty for their child's struggles, viewing them as personal shortcomings. Impact. Excessive guilt can prevent parents from setting necessary boundaries or taking needed breaks, which ultimately leads to burnout. When parents neglect self-care due to guilt, it can lead to emotional exhaustion, impacting their ability to be present and supportive. 9. Shame. Shame is a deeply ingrained feeling of inadequacy, often stemming from a belief that one's actions or identity are inherently flawed. Linked to parenting. Parents can experience shame if they feel they aren't measuring up to societal standards or if their child doesn't fit conventional norms. They may also feel ashamed of perceived failures, such as struggles in their child's behavior or academic performance. Impact. Shame can create a barrier between parent and child, as the parent may either try to hide or overcompensate. This avoidance of vulnerability limits open communication, preventing the child from understanding that making mistakes and learning are natural. 10. Depression. Definition. Depression is a persistent feeling of sadness, hopelessness, and lack of motivation, which can impact a person's outlook and day-to-day functioning. Linked to parenting. Parenting can feel overwhelming, especially when parents face significant emotional challenges. Depression can arise from prolonged stress, a sense of isolation, or a feeling that they're unable to meet their child's needs. Impact. Depression can affect a parent's ability to provide consistent support and guidance. Children of parents with untreated depression may feel neglected, confused, or anxious, affecting their own emotional development and sense of stability. Okay, so now that we know what the emotions are, let's talk about how these emotions hold us back as parents. Each of these emotions, when left unexamined, can create emotional roadblocks, preventing parents from responding effectively to their child's needs. Here's how these unresolved feelings limit parenting potential. reduced patience and empathy. High levels of frustration, anger, or resentment can make it challenging to respond to children with patience and empathy, especially in a high-stress moment. Inconsistency in responses. Feelings like self-doubt and anxiety can make parents second-guess their decisions, leading to inconsistency in rules and boundaries. Limited bonding and trust. Emotions such as shame and guilt can prevent parents from opening up and being vulnerable, which is essential for trusting parent-child relationships. Over-reliance on control. Driven by fear or anxiety, parents may try to control their child's environment excessively, limiting the child's natural growth and autonomy. Parental burnout. When guilt and obligation take over, parents may neglect self-care, leading to emotional exhaustion or even depression, which compromises their ability to be present and nurturing. By recognizing these emotions and addressing their roots, we can break free from patterns that hold them back, allowing us to support our children from a place of strength and emotional stability. This process doesn't just benefit the parent, it creates a solid foundation for the child's development, allowing them to feel understood, supported, and empowered. How to address your emotional blocks. Now that we've defined the emotions in question and linked them to how they affect our parenting, it's time to tackle them head on. You can do this with a pen and paper or a digital notepad on a computer document. Whatever's best for you. Just be ready to get detailed in what you write. 2 rules for what I'm about to teach you. 1, avoid drugs and alcohol when doing this. It will help you to see things more clearly. If possible, abstain for 24 hours before going through this process. 2, be in a distraction-free environment. Set aside at least 60 minutes. You can do this as a speed clearing, but it is not nearly as effective. It's detailing your car versus just spraying it down with the hose. Most of the dirt will still be there if you don't get serious and do it right. So now, pick one emotion from our list that affects you very deeply, only one at a time. Then, step 1, identify the source of the emotion. Description. Pinpoint a specific event, situation, or interaction that triggered your emotion. Reflect on when, where, and how this emotion surfaced. This step encourages you to take a closer look at what's truly bothering you, rather than simply reacting to it. Reasoning. Identifying the root cause of an emotion helps to separate that feeling from the person or the situation, allowing you to understand that the source of distress is not necessarily your child or partner, but may be the context or past experience. This clarity is crucial for managing emotions constructively. Step 2. Rate the severity on a scale from 0 to 10. Description. Rate the intensity of your emotion on a scale from 0, no intensity, to 10, extremely intense. This objective measurement can help put your emotions into perspective and make it easier to evaluate their impact. Reasoning. Quantifying emotions allows you to see their magnitude objectively, which can be a useful tool in managing reactions. By doing this, you can track if certain triggers repeatedly cause strong emotions and work on reducing their intensity over time. 3. Define your desired outcome. Description. Imagine the ideal outcome in response to the situation. What would you like to have happened instead of what actually transpired? Describe this outcome in detail. Reasoning. This step helps you clarify your needs and expectations, offering insight into how your wishes differ from reality. Understanding this gap can help guide future actions and communication, setting the groundwork for improved interactions with your child. Step 4. List 10 plus benefits of the cause of this emotion. Description. Look for positives or hidden benefits in the situation that caused your emotion. Identify ways this experience may have supported your personal growth, resilience, or understanding as a parent. Reasoning. This step teaches you to reframe challenges as opportunities. By finding benefits in negative experiences, you transform them into learning moments, which helps reduce resistance to difficult emotions and encourages growth-oriented thinking. 5. List 10 plus drawbacks of your desired outcome. Description. Imagine if you had received exactly what you wanted in this situation. What drawbacks or unexpected issues might have arisen? Think through potential challenges of the perfect outcome. Reasoning. Acknowledging drawbacks to the ideal outcome fosters balance and realism in your perspective. It reminds you that even positive situations have complexities, helping you remain grounded and better equipped to manage expectations. 6. Acknowledge your role in the emotion. Description. Reflect on actions or decisions that may have contributed to the situation. Ask yourself what you did, consciously or unconsciously, that might have influenced the outcome. Reasoning. This step promotes self-accountability, which empowers you to recognize your influence over emotions and experiences. Taking responsibility rather than placing blame externally opens the door to positive change and better decision-making. 7. Brainstorm 10 steps, plans, or contingencies to reduce future occurrence. Description. Create a list of practical strategies to prevent or mitigate similar emotional situations. These might include setting boundaries, refining communication strategies, or implementing relaxation techniques. Reasoning. Proactively planning helps you feel more in control and prepared for future challenges. These steps act as a safety net, allowing you to stay calm and focused if similar situations arise. 8. Reflect on the balance in your perception. Description. Ask yourself if you can see how you may have contributed to the situation and how your perception has influenced your emotional experience. Consider whether this perception might need to be more balanced. Reasoning. By examining your perception, you gain insight into how your thoughts shape your emotions and reactions. This step encourages a balanced view, reducing the emotional charge around situations and helping you respond more objectively. 9. Identify the lessons and express gratitude for the emotion. Description. Consider what valuable lessons this experience has taught you. Acknowledge these insights and express gratitude for the knowledge gained, even if the experience was challenging. Reasoning. Focusing on gratitude turns negative situations into moments of growth. Recognizing lessons learned reinforces resilience and shows you that every experience, good or bad, can be beneficial to your development as a parent. 10. Plan for personal growth. Description. Ask yourself how you can use this experience to grow as a parent. Think about specific ways this event could inspire personal development, emotional maturity, or improved interactions with your child and everyone else. Reasoning. This step connects your self-improvement with your role as a parent, allowing you to see each situation as a way to become stronger, more compassionate, and more skilled in handling future challenges. 11. Take immediate action based on your reflection. Description. Summarize the most significant insight from this exercise and identify one immediate action you can take to move forward positively. This could be setting a new boundary, practicing a specific coping mechanism, or simply affirming a positive change in your outlook. Reasoning. Taking action reinforces the insights you've gained and shows a commitment to growth. By translating reflection into action, you're actively building resilience and setting an example of adaptability and self-awareness for your child. Okay, that's the process. I know it's a lot, but it's really, really worth it. Remember, you're only doing this for one emotion at a time, but as you start to get to a place where you've done it a lot, at least once for the emotions that block you most often, you will start to see a change in your kid's behavior. I know it sounds like magic. Maybe it is magic, but I've seen it work countless times. Do you want expert guidance in navigating this process? Feel free to email me, hello@gettheparentingbreakthrough.com. Chapter 3. Building the House, your parenting toolkit. Now that you have at least started to address your personal emotional blocks, you can start applying some tools and tactics to your parenting. If you skipped ahead to this chapter, I take no responsibility for these tools failing you. Remember, without a healthy foundation, the part of the building that you see will topple over. And without a skilled and clear-headed worker, the best tools in the world won't build anything. You've been warned. When I work with parents one-on-one, I can give them exactly the tools they need for their unique situation. Nothing more, nothing less. In the context of a guide like this one, it would be impossible for me to include every little thing you might need for your kid. But I'm going to do my best by outlining the things I most often recommend and teach to my clients. One thing to keep in mind, you are a firefighter and you are training for an emergency. Firefighters don't train on actual fires where lives are at stake. They practice in controlled situations. Most of these techniques will not take hold if you're trying to teach them to a kid when the room is on fire. When things are calm and cool, that's when we practice and learn. Schedule it with your kid and be proactive so you're both ready when things get hot. Okay, let's dive in. This chapter is dedicated to tools that help your child manage their emotions, reduce disruptive behaviors, and develop self-regulation skills. The key to success in this phase is consistency, patience, and empathy, which you've strengthened through the previous phases. Feel free to customize and improvise. Get creative. You're building a calmer, clearer-headed version of yourself by addressing your own blocks, so I know you can do this. Tip 1. Create predictable routines and make schedules daily. Children thrive on consistency. Predictable routines help them understand what to expect and reduce anxiety about what's coming next. Set a clear schedule for meals, play, learning, screen time. If that's a part of your kid's life, no judgment from me, it's certainly a part of ours. And of course, bedtime. Why it works. Routine gives children a sense of security, making it easier for them to self-regulate because they aren't constantly adjusting to changes. Action tip. Create a visual schedule that your child can refer to throughout the day. You might use pictures or drawings to represent different activities. When a routine needs to change, let your child know in advance. If your child is old enough, let them spend time with you creating the schedule. Tip 2. Use clear, simple communication. When children don't understand what's expected of them, frustration and confusion can lead to meltdowns. Simplify your instructions and communicate clearly. Why it works. Clear communication helps children understand what's expected, so they're less likely to feel overwhelmed. Action tip. Break down complex tasks into simple steps. For example, instead of saying, "Get ready for bed," try, "First brush your teeth, then put on pajamas." Use positive language, focusing on what you want them to do, not what they shouldn't do. Tip 3. Teach emotional vocabulary. Help your child identify and name their emotions. Teaching them to recognize their feelings allows them to express themselves more constructively. Why it works. Children who can identify their emotions are better equipped to manage them, which can reduce the frequency and intensity of tantrums. Action tip. When you notice your child showing strong emotions, don't ask questions, don't try to correct the emotion. Label with the phrase, "It seems like you're feeling blank emotion." That's not only going to validate their feelings, but also help them develop self-awareness, and if they don't agree with you, they might correct you and help you understand what it is they're feeling. One of my favorite phrases when it comes to emotions is, "I believe you." It shows the kid that they're seen and heard, which is sometimes all they need to get back on track. It doesn't seek to correct or make the emotion go away, it just validates them. Try it. Tip 4. Model emotional regulation. Children learn by observing you. If you handle frustration calmly, they are more likely to imitate that behavior. Practicing self-regulation in front of your child demonstrates how to manage difficult feelings. Why it works. Modeling shows your child that even strong emotions can be managed without losing control. Action tip. If you feel yourself becoming overwhelmed, take a moment to breathe deeply or step aside. Explain to your child that you're taking a moment to calm down, which demonstrates how they can handle similar feelings. Tip 5. Provide positive reinforcement. Reward positive behavior and encourage your child to repeat it. Recognize their efforts, even small ones, and celebrate them. Why it works. Positive reinforcement strengthens desired behaviors, making them more likely to recur over time. Action tip. Use specific phrases like, "I love how you shared that toy with your sister," rather than general praise like, "Good job." Consider using a reward chart where they can see their progress. Tip 6. Teach deep breathing techniques to your kid and practice together. Deep breathing helps calm the body and the mind, making it valuable as a tool for managing anger, anxiety, and other intense emotions. Why it works. Focusing on deep, slow breaths activates the body's relaxation response, which counteracts the fight or flight response triggered by stress. Action tip. Practice deep breathing with your child by showing them how to take a balloon breath. Inhale deeply and imagine filling up the balloon in their belly, then slowly exhale. Make it fun by incorporating simple counting or visual aids like pinwheels. Tip 7. Practice sensory play for calmness. Many children respond well to sensory activities, which help them feel grounded and can prevent overstimulation. Why it works. Sensory play can help children self-soothe and stay regulated. It also improves focus and provides a structured outlet for excess energy. Action tip. Set up a sensory corner with items like textured toys, soft fabrics, Play-Doh, or kinetic sand. Allow your child to visit this space whenever they need a break or a calming activity. Tip 8. Use visual or verbal cues for transitions. Transitions can be challenging, especially for children who struggle with impulsivity and focus. Prepare them for transitions with cues, reminders, and warnings. Why it works. Visual and verbal cues give children time to adjust, reducing the shock of switching tasks. Action tip. Use a timer or countdown to signal an upcoming change in activity. You could say, 5 more minutes of play and then we'll have lunch, and remind them as the time winds down. Tip 9. Introduce time in instead of time out. Traditional timeouts can feel isolating to some children, and I don't know of any trusted professionals that still recommend them. A time-in approach, where the child spends time with you to calm down, can be more effective. Why it works. Time-in provides comfort and teaches your child to self-regulate by observing your calm presence. Action tip. Create a calm-down space in your home where your child can sit with you, focus on breathing, or listen to soothing music until they really feel ready to rejoin activities. 10. Use social stories to teach coping skills. Social stories are short, simple narratives that help children understand different social situations. They're especially helpful for preparing a child for new experiences or challenging situations. Why it works. Social stories give children a mental roadmap for handling real-life situations, reducing anxiety and misunderstandings. Action tip. Write a short story about a scenario your child struggles with, like taking turns or handling disappointment. Use simple language, positive actions, and include a happy ending that reinforces the desired behavior. You can role play this or act it out with their favorite toys. Keep it short and sweet, unless the kid is having a blast with it, then go as long as you can. They're learning. Tip 11. Implement consistent boundaries and limits. One of my favorite ideas that I learned from Dr. Becky Kennedy is, their emotions do not dictate your boundaries, and your boundaries do not dictate their emotions. Setting clear, consistent boundaries helps children feel secure. Knowing what's acceptable and what's not provides them with a structure that they can rely on. Why it works. Consistent boundaries help children learn about limits and self-control, reducing power struggles and outbursts. Action tip. Set a few essential, non-negotiable rules that you enforce consistently. Explain why these rules exist and always follow through. There is a wrong way of setting boundaries that is, unfortunately, the way most people set boundaries with everyone in their lives, children or not. Obviously, in the moment, if your kid is holding a flamethrower, you have to quickly get it out of their hands. And regardless of how calm your parenting style is, that may not adhere to the rules of good boundary setting. That's okay. But most people treat every boundary like a flamethrower, putting their foot down and immediately springing into action. When it's not an emergency, the boundary will only be retained by taking it slow. Here's the process. First, let them know that what they're doing is not okay, using firm but calm and clear language. We don't jump on the couch. It's not safe and it damages the couch. Can you please stop? Notice that I gave a reason that I want them to stop. Then, if they keep bouncing on the couch, we have to follow up. This is where we set the actual boundary. We're going to tell them what will happen if they don't do what we asked. If you do not stop jumping on the couch, I'm going to have to count to 5. And then, if I get to 5, I'm going to gently lift you up and place you on the floor. This step is key. We have to do what we said we're going to do. And they may not like it, but we have a good reason, and sometimes they have to respect that we know what's best in the situation. Let's be real. I know that this is hard, especially for kids who are severely neurodivergent. This is where the other tools in the kit come in handy. We still have to set the boundary. Sometimes when you set a difficult boundary, there are consequences. Dysregulation, meltdowns, tantrums that lead to some need for repair or yet another boundary. Another key to good boundary setting is that the violation of your boundary doesn't mean they have to do anything. The violation of the boundary triggers something you are going to do, and that you have made it clear what that will be. Case in point, if they do something and the damage has already been done, then we have to set the boundary in a different way. Let them know what they did is not okay, and tell them what will happen the next time they do it. For example, let's say your child does physical harm to a sibling. The boundary is, we don't hurt each other in this family. The next time this happens, I'm going to have to spend time with your sister to help her feel better. This will mean that you and I are spending less time together. It will also mean that I have less time to take care of the things that were on my schedule, which means we won't have time to watch a movie tonight. This may seem like a punishment, and in a way it is, but it is more of a direct consequence of the action, which is far more valuable and less punitive than some unrelated consequence that comes out of left field. One could write an entire book teaching boundary setting, but I hope these examples were helpful and give you a good framework for your own boundary setting. Tip 12. Encourage physical activity. Physical activity is essential for children's mental health, particularly those who may struggle with impulsivity, sensory issues, or focus. Why it works. Exercise helps release pent-up energy and emotions, making it easier for children to stay calm and regulated. Action tip. Aim for 20 to 30 minutes of physical activity every day, whether it's playing outside, dancing, or practicing simple yoga poses. Incorporate activity breaks during the day to prevent overstimulation. 13. Focus on a quality sleep routine. Poor sleep exacerbates emotional dysregulation. Ensure that your child's sleep routine is consistent and free of disturbances. Why it works. Quality sleep helps regulate mood and behavior, reducing irritability and improving focus. Action tip. Develop a calming bedtime routine such as dimming the lights, reading a story, or using a white noise machine. Aim for the same bedtime and wake-up time every day. This also links directly to physical activity. The more we get, the better we sleep. Tip 14. Mindfulness practices done together. Mindfulness practices help children become more aware of their emotions and physical sensations, enabling them to self-regulate more effectively. Why it works. Mindfulness helps children process emotions without feeling overwhelmed, making it easier to handle stress and frustration. Action tip. Practice short mindfulness exercises like focusing on breathing or describing objects in the room. Try a mindful movement before meals or during transitions to center their focus. Tip 15. Empower your child through choices. Offering choices can help children feel a sense of control, reducing resistance and promoting cooperation. Why it works. By allowing them to make small decisions, you reduce power struggles and foster independence. Action tip. Offer limited choices for everyday tasks like, do you want to brush your teeth before or after the bath? Make sure each option is acceptable to you so you remain in control of the outcome. I know your family is unique. In many cases, not everything outlined above is going to be applicable to a particular family's situation. And as I said earlier, it would be impossible to give you the perfect custom solution in this book. And that's really why I value my one-on-one work with families so much. So if I can help you with this in any way, feel free to reach out to me at hello@gettheparentingbreakthrough.com. Until then, thank you for listening and good luck.